I know we have lots of new people to Folds here, and we have some old guard, and everybody that's been in the fight, I want to say thank you. And for all the new people, I want to give you a little background on what has led us to the place we are 15 years on this journey. And even the people that know Folds probably don't know some of this stuff. And my oldest daughter, Victoria, she's an English major at Notre Dame, and she's educated me. And one of the poets that she loves is Wordsworth. And his famous line is, "You come into this world trailing clouds of glory." I translate that, and God has breathed over every one of us in this room. And our life's work is to figure out why you're here, and then go be as good as you can be at doing that. What I had been preparing for up until this moment wasn't in a fighter jet, it was on a commercial airliner, going from Chicago O'Hare to Grand Rapids, Michigan, to my other job as a golf pro. Dark, delayed night, finally get on this flight. United Flight 664, walking through first class, glance over, see a corporal in dress army green up front, but that was when it was in vogue to give military your first class seat, so I didn't think much of it. Press on back to coach. About an hour and a half later, close to midnight, we're pulling into the gate. Captain comes over the PA and makes an announcement that we're carrying an American hero on board. And I'm like, I wonder what this guy in first class did. So we in Iraq, Medal of Honor winner, and Captain continues emotionally and says that we're carrying the remains of Corporal Brock Buckland on this flight, and his identical twin brother, Corporal Brad Buckland, is in first class and has brought him the 7,000 miles home. Exactly what I felt. Captain says, "Hey, I know it's late, but please stay in your seats," until his remains had been removed from the right cargo hold. And I've seen a lot of bad stuff, and I know we got several veterans in here, and thank you to all the veterans who have served and are serving, first responders as well. And you see bad stuff when you go to combat, but I'd never seen anything like this. It was so personal as I watched that family on the darkest night of their lives. His brothers, parents, wife, 4-year-old son. As Brock's American flag draped coffin inched down that cargo ramp. Ceremony finishes up. I grab my backpack. I stand up. Look around. Half the people are gone. Nowhere to go except that blanket of freedom we'll all sleep under tonight here in Oak City, courtesy of Corporal Brock Buckland and the 1.1 million veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And I walked off the airplane, see lots of emotions going on, and felt a hand on my shoulder. It was heavy. And I turned around, there was nothing there, but the second thing I will tell you for certain tonight, it was the hand of God. And I called my wife, Jackie, walking up the jet bridge. And I'm like, I know what we got to do. And what we did is we went before we were ready. And we started a little nonprofit above our garage in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and wrote down, starting out, honor the sacrifice, educate the legacy. The world would tell you, man, how naive is that? Start a nonprofit above your garage with no money. You're not very smart. You have no influence. But what they don't realize is when it's God's plan, He will bring it to fruition. He will fill the church. And I am so blessed to sit back and witness the way Folds touches people's hearts.
My name is Liz, and I'm here to share my story about how Folds of Honor has impacted my life and brought me here today. My dad, Navy Lieutenant Commander Raymond O'Hare, was a radar intercept officer, also known as a RIO. Now, as a RIO, his position was to manage communication, navigation, and radar operation from the back seat while the pilot flew the plane. My dad loved to learn, And so about 7 years into his time in the military, he decided to pursue his degree in aeronautical engineering through the Navy. And in the last year of this program, he was restationed to the Patuxent Naval Air Base in southern Maryland for 1 year in Naval Test Pilot School. So the three of us crazy kids and our two adventurous parents packed up and moved from Monterey, California, to this new land of tractors, Old Bay, and Maryland blue crabs that us locals like to call St. Mary's County, Maryland. By July 11th, 2000, our dad was halfway through test pilot school. Just a few hours after saying his usual goodbyes to us that morning, this group of strangers in uniform came knocking at the door and informed our mom that the T-38 training jet carrying our dad in the back seat was flying too low and lost control while coming in for landing. It crashed into a tree and flipped upside down on base just a handful of miles from our home, killing both my dad and the pilot with him immediately upon impact. I was 3 years old at the time. My sister Katie was 4 years old, and my brother Thomas was 9 months old. So it was just the three of us and our mom after that. After the death of our dad, our mom worked tirelessly to support our little family. I have never seen someone work so hard, and she showed me what it means to be a strong and capable woman. But she was the single mother of 3 young children and had just lost the love of her life, her partner, the one she was supposed to raise us with. And so when it came time for my older sister Katie to apply to college in 2013, my mom had no idea how we could afford it. And then we discovered Folds of Honor through a simple Google search right around Christmas time before Katie was going to start school. Since that day, they've completely changed our lives. With the help of Folds of Honor, I graduated from Mount St. Mary's University in 2019 with my Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and Biology. Both of my siblings also received the scholarship, which has allowed them to pursue their dreams in marketing and electrical engineering. Now, after I graduated, I decided to move to Los Angeles to teach high school for 2 years while earning my Master of Education from the University of Notre Dame as part of a teaching program that Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney's daughter is actually interested in. So good luck to you. And in the last year of this teaching program, I met this handsome Marine named Sergeant Tyler Brees. To say that I fell head over heels for this man would be quite the understatement. He had this sweet smile, he was so chivalrous, and he showed me what it meant to feel truly loved. He told me on the first date he knew he was going to marry me. Then in August 2021, he was brought over to Afghanistan. To recap the events happening in Afghanistan at this time, our president had signed an agreement to withdraw all U.S. troops from the country by August 31st, 2021, in an effort to end the 20-year war that cost so many American lives since 9/11. But as that deadline approached, the Taliban gained increasing control of the country, and hundreds of thousands of people flocked to the Kabul airport in an attempt to escape with their lives before the country was completely overrun. The airport became a scene of chaos. These are just some pictures from the news. There's Tyler up in the right with some of his men at the airport. Tyler was brought over along with several other military members to help with crowd control and to get as many people out as possible before that deadline. On August 26th, 2021, while I was at work, my mom sent me this news headline: 10 Marines killed in explosion at Kabul airport. A suicide bomber from an extremist group had detonated in a sewage canal on the outskirts of the airport, killing at least 10 Marines. I was so scared when I got the news because I knew that Tyler was working at the airport, but I didn't know where. I hadn't heard from him since the night before, and my messages weren't going through. In that moment, I was terrified that he had been one of those 10, and I felt that weight of thousands of military families who were in the same position, who feared the same about their loved one. Now, I decided to stay at work that day for the rest of my shift because the last thing I wanted to do was go home and sit alone while I waited for news. And in that time at work, I checked the news every few minutes, searching through every video, every photo, searching for Tyler's face, some kind of proof that he was alive. I looked for the names of the fallen, but of course those wouldn't be released for a few more days until all the families had been informed. And as I repeatedly checked the news, while I didn't find Tyler's face, what I saw was that the number of U.S. servicemen and women confirmed killed rose to 13, with even more injured, but still no word from Tyler. And then finally at 2 a.m., about 12 hours after hearing about the explosion initially, I received a message from Tyler. He was alive. He had some cuts and bruises and was only 100 meters from the explosion, but he was alive. He was only about a football field away from this explosion that killed 13 other U.S. heroes and over 170 Afghan citizens. And so while I was indescribably relieved and grateful that he had survived, I knew that he had seen things that I could never begin to understand. He saw the bodies of men, women, and children who couldn't survive the harsh conditions of that airport. He heard the gunfire of the Taliban, killing families, killing children who were escorted out of the airport because they didn't have the paperwork to make it through. He saw the aftermath of that explosion, and he had to watch as the flag-draped caskets of those 13 U.S. heroes were brought on the planes to go home to their families, knowing that one of them could have so easily been his. There are no proper words to say to someone who has witnessed such tragedy, and I still struggle to find the words every single day. Tyler and I were married on June 11th last year, and we now live in San Diego with our crazy dog pictured up here. His name is Camp. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight. You know, it's been almost 2 years since that explosion. In that time, we moved, we were married, and we've gone through so many other life changes together. But like so many of our nation's heroes, Tyler still lives with those traumatic images forever ingrained in his memory. And I know that it weighs on him heavily every single day. Folds of Honor doesn't just care for the families of our military and first responders who give their lives and pay that ultimate price for this country, but also those who return with physical and emotional wounds from their service to this great nation. Folds met my family in this place of grief in the loss of our father and brought us both hope and the resources we needed to pursue our dreams. I honestly don't think that I ever would have gone to LA and earned my Master of Education if I hadn't had that help from Folds of Honor in undergrad, which means I never would have met Tyler. And now I'm so grateful to say that I'm happily married to the love of my life and on my way to achieving my ultimate dream of becoming a physician. I'll be starting medical school this fall at UC San Diego on a scholarship. Thank you. Thank you. It's only 45 minutes from us, so that's pretty nice. But I'll be going there on a scholarship through the Air Force and will serve as an active duty physician upon completing my medical training. So I'll be going to boot camp this summer, which I'm very excited about. Thank you, I appreciate that. I need some help with my push-ups still, yeah. It's crazy when I look back on all the opportunities I've had because of Folds of Honor, and I'm just so grateful. And my story is just one of so many that stands as witness to the continual good that Folds of Honor does for our military and first responder families and our nation. Because it's not just an organization that writes a check to our schools. They're truly a family that helps our families face grief and find hope in the midst of that grief. They let us know that we're not alone. Tonight, you have the opportunity to support families like mine and students like me to support that dream of a future doctor, nurse, lawyer, researcher, teacher, and so many other professionals. Just by being here tonight, you're already giving to Folds of Honor, and I thank you for that. And I ask that if you have the means, you consider giving tonight through a one-time donation, anytime online at foldsofhonor.org, or through the silent or live auction tonight. I think it's still open for a few more minutes, right? So there's still a chance. Know that when you give to Folds of Honor, you're giving to students like me and families like mine. You're giving us that hope, and you're helping us through that grief. So thank you all so much. It's true patriots like you who allow us to fulfill this mission and to help so many families. Thank you for allowing me to honor my father and all of those who have given their lives for this country. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.